Hi guys, I am Blair Milan, your favorite host from It Is What It Is, JA. Today we'll be discussing, is marriage the end goal, and do you believe it holds the same importance it did years before? This episode was sponsored by Irie Coffee and Janga's Soundbar and Grill, and here is a message from one of our sponsors.
Greetings, my name is Mark Bell, artist from Portland Fine Art. Well, today I'm just showcasing three of my lovely pieces. The theme that I'm working with is Life's Simple Pleasure. This theme actually depicts the simple things around us that we take for granted, such as you can see, the normal country life. And that is what inspired me of doing this art. Now, you can find me on Instagram at markbell_PFA. I'm also located in Portland, where I'm actually performing my art.
Today I have with me Nicholas McDavid, a very good friend of mine, affectionately known as Nick Mac. He is a curator of experiences, and to know him is to love him. Just kidding.
I'm very happy to be here, and you know I love you.
And we have Ava Minott, who is an entrepreneur and CEO of Her Life, as you can see.
Thank you, Blair. It is definitely a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you. And now we'll go right into it. And I actually want to ask Nick first. What is your let's do a two parts. What do you believe that marriage is the end goal?
I don't think it has to be.
Okay.
I think it's based on personal preference, personal choice. You know, we no longer live in those days where, you know, it was frowned upon not to be married and to have children outside of marriage. You know, the world has changed, the world has evolved. And there are people who are married without being legally married. And they're happy, they're fine, they live great lives together.
What's your take, Ava?
Well, personally, I do not believe that marriage is a pinnacle of a relationship. I do not think it validates a relationship. So love is agape for me. It's universal, and I think that marriage is really just a symbol of, you know, persons making a decision to really move forward in that direction.
Right. Would you say then that it's not as important as years before, based on what you both have just said?
Yes, I agree. It is not, because of course we understand that, you know, we have evolved as a people. Right. And while we, you know, when you look back historically, right, you know, we used to be bounded by traditions and cultural norms. Right. Today, you know, we are a little bit more liberal. And of course, you know, you have persons who have varied beliefs about what marriage is and what it means to them.
What do you think about what Ava just said, Nick?
I agree with her, except for one small difference, which is it still is important.
Okay.
So she said it's not as important. It still is very important. Marriage is now, in my mind, a broader thing and a broader concept than just going to the church or getting that ceremony done or signing that certificate.
Okay.
Now, I will always say that the reason why I married my wife is because we were already married. Meaning, I already considered myself married to my wife. We were already living like a married couple. We had already had our first child, living in our first home.
Right.
And everything about what we did was husband and wife. I made the decision that I wanted to formalize it by ring, paper, signing.
Right.
Some people don't.
Right.
And I think that there is no pressure today, or there doesn't need to be any pressure today to force couples to go to the altar to sign that certificate. Because as she said, we're in a liberated society. Right. Things have changed, we've evolved.
Do you not think then that that's probably why a lot of marriages are no longer lasting? Because once again, we're in a liberated time, and so people don't think it's as important, so people are not necessarily getting married for the right reasons.
I would think that, I would hope rather, that anybody who gets married formally, legally,
right?
Because we need to separate
Yes.
based on my concept of marriage, right? Anybody who gets married legally, formally, I think it's something that they should
Take seriously.
And it has to be important.
Right.
Even if you're doing it for the wrong reason. For example, the wrong reason could be you get married because you want papers. People do it all the time.
But that's not necessarily.
But that's serious.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, once you get married, even if it's for the wrong reason, because I would never get married for papers.
Okay.
But the person who even does that should take it seriously.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, you can't get married and it's not serious.
Right.
So let's just put that out on the table.
Okay.
But maybe what is happening, based on what you're saying, is that, you know, the value of the institution of marriage doesn't have the same power that it has.
It doesn't
for
hold the
current
same
gen-
weight.
or doesn't hold the
Exactly.
same weight
It doesn't hold the
for
same
our
weight.
current generation.
So Ava, do you think that based on the fact that, you know, the divorce rate is so high, that, you know, that's another reason why people are not
It's a
putting
deterrent.
a lot of people are not putting as much importance on marriage as they did before, because as Nick said, it is a serious
Factor.
factor. It's something that's something serious that you're taking on.
I wouldn't say it is a deterrent. I think that people do consider the divorce rate.
Right.
People will take, you know, from others' experiences,
Right.
you know, secondhand experience, maybe a family member, a friend, based on their experience in or parents, right? Very good. Based on their experience in marriage, they may take from that to help them to make a decision as to whether or not they would want to go into marriage. But as the CEO of my life, I have a different perspective on marriage, and I agree. You know, people have different viewpoints in terms of what marriage means to them. You know, if you talk to a Christian, they'll probably tell you something different, right? But of course, everyone is entitled to a choice. You know, they make a choice as to whether or not marriage is suitable, you know, for their lifestyle. But for me, I believe that because I am the creator of my my experiences, I think that, you know, as a career woman, marriage really comes second to my life goals. It comes second to my career goals. Rightly so, because you do have, in my mind, you do have a window of time to really have the energy and the drive to pursue your career, right? And, you know, that time you really want to focus. Now, that doesn't stop you from having a relationship, right? Because, as you said, marriage is a big responsibility. And, of course, it comes with expectations and so forth. So my thing is that I would delay marriage, right, as I have, because I wanted to focus on my career, right? And of course, my life goals. I have personal goals, you know, things that I want to do, purposes that I want to pursue. And because of that, I believe that, you know, the whole idea of getting married and, you know, having a family, starting a family, because of course that also comes with marriage, right? It's an expectation. So while I don't subscribe to the expectations, the fact is that it is a personal choice.
So when you date, do you have this discussion with the person that you're dating and let them know that, listen, my career is more important to me. That's my first priority, and then second is my relationship. Basically. And so the end goal is really not necessarily marriage, as we're discussing.
Right. So it's not about whether or not you know, you want to get married. It is about what are the expectations, how long, you know. You do have that conversation. Very, very important, because you need to now assess your partner's expectation, right? As to whether or not they would want, I mean, how soon would they want, you know, to start a family, to start a marriage. And of course, that conversation would need to take place very early on in the onset of a relationship. So at least both of you know what expectations are, and you'll be able to temper those expectations. And of course, have that conversation as to how we want to move forward.
Okay. So have you found that the way you have, you know, a relationship and going
Really,
in
Blair?
I'm sorry, I just, you know, I have to ask because you know, it's because the thing is, it's not black and white, you know, clearly, and we all have our things that, you know, we require, and, you know, yes, whilst it's very admirable that you put your career first, because at the end of the day, you don't want to get into a situation and lose yourself. And
True.
so probably that is just your best way of, you know, holding yourself accountable. So, you know, I have to ask the question because, you know, everybody has a different way of how they work, and have they found that this way is working?
I
You
have
know,
a question too.
okay, go ahead.
I want to ask.
Oh, the hot seat.
I want to ask her, what happened if you met the love of your life? Would you still sacrifice the love of your life for career and all things career and for career progression? Would you give up love for all of that?
Taking a decision not to marry does not mean that you are not open to exploring love.
No.
So,
hold on.
yes.
You meet the love of your life. And for him, marriage, formal marriage,
Formal marriage.
is the ultimate goal. And for him, he has to be in that space and place with you because of how he feels and where he wants to go with you. And he's the love of your life. And he's like, Ava, I want to marry you. He proposes all of these things. Does that now become inconvenient to you because of your career? Are you going to let him go? Are you going to give him up for career?
Well, I will say this.
Be honest now.
I'm being honest,
Okay.
actually. I'm being very, I'm being honest, guys. I'm being very honest. My belief system I will say to you that I create my ultimate soulmate and my partner.
You
You know,
create your
yes,
soulmate.
I'm the creator of every opportunity in my life, right? I'm the CEO of my life. So I believe that I have that power to create that individual. And if I'm with someone who I feel love for, because I exude love, right? So love will come in many forms. And the fact is that if that person is not willing to accept me as I am, as I'm willing to accept him as he is, then there is definitely an issue of an alignment problem, right? The thing is,
But you love
in
each other.
life, I do. That's the
So
thing.
you love
But
each
in
other. There is
life,
alignment.
but love is one, right? It's one thing. But at the end of the day, you still have to be willing to accept each other as the individual that you are. So you come into the relationship as an individual with goals. So there's nothing wrong with making compromises, but at the end of the day, you still have to stay true to who you are. And you have to also go in, and I was explaining this to Blair earlier, you have to go in thinking, how may I serve? But how may I serve has to be reciprocated. So he's coming in with all these expectations, and I always tell people that's usually where we go wrong, because we're going with all these expectations and you expect someone to pretty much fall in line, but that's not what love is. Love is accepting the person as they are. And if I'm not ready, it means that that individual have to accept that I am not ready and be willing to love me through it.
Okay, I have a take on this. So I don't fully agree with what you're saying. Okay, yes, there should be compromise in a relationship, and yes, we should accept each other for who we are as individuals. However, if you are going into a situation and listen, at the end of the day, I want to get married and you want to get married. And if you have somebody who wants to be married and doesn't want to be married, that's not going to work, because what's going to happen is one person is always going to be compromising whilst the other person isn't. So the person who doesn't want to get married will always have their way, and the person who wants to get married, that's where the problem lies.
Which is also true.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, as I said, I believe that I exude love. If that person comes along my path and we're not in alignment,
Right.
it means
Then
that may not be the person for
you.
me.
Right.
Exactly.
There's a
I'm
Netflix
in a
series
hurry,
that
guys.
you need to watch. Sex Life.
Oh yes, I watched it.
I
I
did
love
too.
that
I
Billy's-
love it too.
You love it? Oh.
Billy's best friend.
Yes.
Can't remember her name right now.
Yes, she's basically
Season 2.
Yes.
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 That's
Yes.
her.
That is her.
Like I'm
That is
I'm
her.
like-
But then you watched it to the end, right? You saw the end.
Exactly.
Was she
They
No, don't tell me. I don't
Okay,
finish
okay,
it. I don't finish it. I don't finish it. I don't finish it.
Spoiler
So you can
alert.
have it all. So you
So
can have it all.
You can have it all. But
Timing is really what
I
it
agree.
is.
Timing is everything. And once you meet the look, because what happened to her is, this person proposed to her years ago, and she was not willing to get married to him because she felt like that was going to hold her back. And her book
Which
was
is
a
not
book-
true.
Which is not true. Her book,
Well, you never know.
There was a little twist to the the story.
There
so
is.
in her book, she's talking about she's the entrepreneur, she's the CEO of her life. So she believed that she needs to be like the feminist, the woman. She don't need no man. That's basically what she puts out there, right? And then the point where she brought this guy in, and then she getting so excited now about him, and the guy literally like covers her mouth on the on some interview they were doing, and the Twitter everything started to blow up like, oh, so you're saying you're this, but you're not really this.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? There comes a point where you as the individual, you're eventually you're gonna be at the top, and you're gonna feel alone, and you're gonna feel like, boy, this person, should I have, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that
I think Ava is trying to make her thing too well constructed.
No. It's actually the opposite.
And
I'm very open-minded, and that's one of the things. I'm not hard and fast on anything, right? So I'm very much open-minded to the idea of getting married.
Right.
But I think that when the time is right, because remember we started off,
Right.
is it the
end goal?
Right?
Right.
So it's not about when it happens.
Right.
Right? It really is about understanding. Because if you love me and I love you, the fact is that there's going to be that process, and we have
Right.
to trust the process.
Okay.
Right? I believe in trusting the process. And because there's a process, we have to go through it. So just like what's her name? I remember her name. But Billy's best friend.
Can't remember her name right now.
Oh my God.
It was a process.
Sasha.
It was Sasha,
Sasha. It was a
process for Sasha,
Yeah.
and she had to go through
That,
that in order to get to where
Right,
she
to realize,
did.
like, look,
exactly.
this is what
But
I
in
want
the
to do.
end, both decided I want to serve him,
Right.
and he wants to serve her,
Right.
and that was when they came together.
Right.
So it really reinforces my point
Right.
that you can have it all. The fact is that if that person is for you, best believe that if you let them go, they will come right back.
Okay, so I have another question
Quite
for you,
cliche.
Ava. Do you have a timeline on, based on your beliefs, do you have a timeline in that you said, okay, by where exactly you want to get to in your career, that you are then comfortable to say, hey, I'm ready to get married?
Well, no. Being the open-minded person that I am pretty flexible, and I don't have a set timeline that I want to get married at a particular age or anything like that. But I will say that I believe in the right timing. I don't know how to explain that, but I do believe in the right timing. I do believe that when that time is right, you will know. It will come naturally. It won't be forced, right? And at the end of the day, as he said, you don't have to validate your relationship with marriage, right? You really don't. And once you're happy, once that person is your peace, once you find that joy in the relationship, it really is a matter of, if you choose, both of you choose to go down that road of making it official. Right? So for me, it's not a timeline. I don't put a timeline on anything. I trust the process. I live in the end. So as he said, we may not be officially married, but in my mind, we are lovers. We love each other, and that's all that matters.
Okay, Nick looks like he
There
got a little touch or something right there.
There is disparity in what the well-spoken lady here is saying.
Okay.
And the disparity for me is that she's saying right time, flow with the vibe, so and so. But to
No
me,
timeline.
she's looking to curate it and construct it too much.
Right.
Because she said earlier, I will construct my
partner,
soulmate, my partner.
Right.
I will
And create my partner, right?
And in my mind's eye.
She needs to create some sponsors for you, and she needs to create some clients for me, because she look like she have this power that we don't
I
know.
do. I
So
do.
that is where I kind of, because I don't see how you're going to curate, create, construct. And
I can teach you how
seem to want to streamline things so much
But I'm
and
not,
then free flow and when the time is right. So there's a disparity
but listen,
in the conversation.
so how I create in my imagination. Everybody know about manifestation, right?
Right.
So it's pretty much manifestation. So I create the perfect, quote unquote, perfect guy or my soulmate in my mind.
Right.
I know what I want. You know, once you get to that point where you know what you want, you can pretty much have an imagination. Put that person in your imagination and imagine that person as you want them to be. And what I do is I live in the end. I'm not attached to the outcome, meaning that I'm not attached to when that person will come into my life, but I trust the process that will eventually manifest. And of course, the universe will align and that person will come to me, right? The opportunities are going to present themselves, and of course, I'm going to meet that person. Now, I'm not worried about the process. I'm trusting it. So you may meet people along the way, and people will tell you, you know, you go through several partners to get to the one that really was for you, right? Exactly. Yeah. So
some people might disagree though. What?
Well,
I hear you.
Course,
I hear you.
We're all entitled to.
Yes, we're all okay. So
no, man, there are some women that would disagree with her.
That
not to say that what she's saying is not
because,
her truth, but
yes.
Here's my thing. There are some women who get it right the first time. Yeah? They're just lucky or blessed enough to find a partner.
First love and that's it.
Right, first love and that's
Married
it.
for the rest of them life. So it happens.
Yeah, it
For
does.
me, that has not happened. I've been in love, yes, and I've had love, yes. Have I felt like this is it? No.
I don't want to question if you've been in love,
And
but a different
You want to question if I've been in love?
Yes.
Okay.
'Cause some
She
people,
just said that she has been
no.
No,
What I'm saying
I've
is
been
some
in
people
love.
say that they are
Hold on.
in love, but if
I
you
will
break
say
it
I've been in
down,
love.
they
really
weren't
not
really
love.
in love.
It's more infatuation.
They,
than anything else.
you might have loved the person, but not in love.
love.
I see in love as a...
Oh, that's a whole different
That's
conversation.
what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes,
But here's what I'm
yes.
saying. There are people who can say they've been in love several times. I've been in love once. Once.
Okay.
I have been in other relationships and I have loved the person, had love for the person. Was I in love with them to have marriage as my end goal? No. Right? Because at the end of the day, we go back to, do we align? Does it make sense? Is this somebody I can see myself with for the rest of my life? For me, marriage is important. I've never been married. We've spoken about marriage, but marriage is very important to me, and I believe that when I get married that one time, it's till death do us part. And I tell any partner that if I'm marrying you, it's till death do us part. We're not divorcing. We're not like it's.
Ooh, that's tricky.
And it's serious for me. So that's what I'm saying. That's probably why I haven't been married, because I haven't found that person yet that I feel like
I can appreciate that.
I'm gonna go get married with this person, and then
I can appreciate that.
you understand what I'm saying? So it's till death do us part for me. It's that serious for me.
Wow.
If me and
Wow.
my wife weren't to work out, and I mean, like you said earlier, I didn't plan to go into a marriage for it not to work out.
Right.
But
Exactly.
let's say,
Nobody does that.
well, people who marry for papers.
Well, okay, fine. Because
Right.
you know, after you get your papers,
Exactly.
now you just
Yeah.
do your thing, right?
Yes.
But I didn't.
Put in the papers.
I didn't
But then
get.
there are also other people, sorry not to cut you, but there are also other people who get married for, okay, for example, there are women or men who they'll get married to a young girl or whatever and put her through school because they see the
Oh yes,
her,
we
whatever,
know
put
the
her-
stories.
Investment.
Invest in her, right?
It's a real thing.
Invest in her, and he don't get back no return on his investment because after she gets her degree, she's like, I'm out.
Because she end up with a knick-knack, somebody who
Oh
flies.
my.
So she's like, I don't need this anymore.
It
But-
happens
but do
though,
you-
all the
do
time.
you-
It really does.
It's a
Really
real
does.
thing.
I want to inject this.
Okay.
Love is not constant, right? And I believe that we evolve
then that's not
as a
real love
people. No. But I'm saying
Real love is
we're talking
constant.
about romantic love, right? We're talking about romantic love.
Yes, it
but
is
but while I
constant.
believe that we don't,
If it's real,
well, there's some truth to that. But what I mean is that we are not constant. We change. We evolve, right? Which means that the way we exude love or the way we express love,
Right.
rather, it will be different from time to time, right? As we grow, as we mature, we express love differently. And I think that a lot of times your actions is pretty much what would indicate to your partner that you love, right? The love that you're referring to, a lot of times people tend to it's overshadowed by the actions, you know, what people do, what they say, the expectations. And the fact is that it doesn't mean that I don't love you anymore. I have love for you. It's just that I have evolved, which means that my behavior, my personality, a lot of things will change as you grow and you mature. And your experiences definitely help to mold you into the individual that you are. So people are attached to. So they meet you 2 years, 3 years ago. You were one person in a particular mindset. Of course, 3 years after, you're a different person. Your outlook has changed, and of course, your actions will follow. Now, the person may think, "Oh, you don't love me anymore," because the things you used to do then you're not doing now, right? And of course, that tend to create a space where persons are now doubting the love that they have for each other, and that may affect the whole marriage.
So I want to tap into that, where you're saying that the person will say they're not doing what they used to do. I think it also goes back to when people get married, what they would have done when they were boyfriend and girlfriend, they no longer do.
They stop doing it.
Right? So for me, it boils down to, if you're dating this person all along and you're putting it, you go on a job interview and you put your best foot forward, right? And you tell them everything. I can do all when you can't do it.
Wash,
you can
cook,
do
clean,
it. Everything.
Right?
So I believe that when you get married to somebody, you should continue dating them.
True.
Date them.
True.
Continue.
Agreed.
100%.
Absolutely.
Treat them like it's your boyfriend forever.
Agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
Because when you do that, you won't have no issues. And a lot of times people don't do that. So, when you see everybody every now and again, I admire like some friends that I have who they're married and they have kids, so they're busy. But them set time and say, hey, let's go on a date. Let's have a date night. Let's ask the grandparents to come and watch the kids. Or, you as a woman, you need, because we mother, so you need time to just, regroup. And you say, all right, I'm going to go out with the girls tonight. So you have, those days where it's either a drink night or you go out on a date with your husband. And I think that you need that, right? And you need to be able to go, you need some time for yourself too, because you're with your husband all the time.
And then, of course, I will ask you this. What about, and this is probably for you, the expectation, we used to date, and of course, it was a little bit lax. Used to have fun, it used to be flexible, and then once you get married, you expect that the wife to now act a particular way, to conduct herself a particular way, not wear certain clothes. Of course, once she becomes a mom, it is a whole, take care of you, cook, wash, and all of these things. You do find that the pressure that wives, quote unquote, undergo when they get married, especially from the expectation coming in from the husband and probably his family, the wife's supposed to be doing this, da-da-da. What do you say about that?
I don't believe in that nonsense. Me personally, I don't believe in that nonsense. For me, there is no such thing as this is the man role and the woman role, and the man do this and the woman do that. I don't believe in those things. I believe, and when we had the launch
We
spoke about that at the launch, right? Where for me, it's a partnership across the board.
Oh yes.
I can cook, I can clean, I can change diapers, and my wife can do that too. I can pay for this, I can pay for that, she can pay for this, she can pay for that. It's an equal partnership across the board. I don't have any gender constructed roles. That's foolishness to me, you understand?
I agree.
So my thing is a partnership across the board. There's no pressure about this and that. And as she knows, I can tell you, my wife cannot keep house like me. And I tell anybody that. I stayed at home for 2 years with my first son, and my wife was at 9 to 5. Fortunately, I live an entrepreneurial life like you and was able to do that. My wife does 9 to 5. And I was the person who, hey, he did this, he said that, So I was the person calling her, and she was the one at work, and I giving her the updates about what happened. He said this, he asked for this, if you ever know what him do. Normally, it's the fathers are at work, and they're missing things. So I say all of this to say, I don't believe in that gender nonsense. I was my son's main caregiver for 2 years with no help. And to this day, it is one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. I would do it over and over again.
Awesome.
So I don't believe in that stuff. Men and women supposed to share the responsibilities.
I totally agree.
You understand?
Totally agree with you.
I'm a socialist, and feminist movements were born out of socialism in terms of equality, gender balance, and those things. And I don't believe in that stuff. And I am a product of a divorce marriage. We had spoken about divorce and how those kind of things might push or shape you. Well, divorce has shaped me in the sense that I go and stick it out to the end.
You know what not to do.
Me tell my wife all the time, if we have problem, it's a hard for you to get a divorce from me. Because what I have gone through has inspired me the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to try make everything work to the end, right?
Exhaust all the options.
Until the end, right? So, because of that, when I moved to Jamaica, because I'm from Guyana originally, when I moved to Jamaica and I was young, my household were all women. At one point in the household, great-grandmother was even there at a point. So great-grandmother, grandmother, my mother's sister, and you can't forget the helper. Critical.
Oh, yes.
From your background, in what you studied, you know that they speak about the role of the helper being critical to socialization in the Caribbean. Right? So, it's woman me see, I run everything and I do everything. Which is why I wanted to learn how to cook. And which is why I know how to clean.
Of course.
Because the women were the people I saw doing everything. My father was in Guyana at this point, kind of going through the divorce, ting. He's from Guyana. My mother's from Jamaica. Divorce. Mommy come home. Daddy there. He came to Jamaica and spent some time with us for a couple of years while we were, to kind of make the transition easier. But at a point, a woman alone run the house. So I wanted to do what the leaders of the household were doing. And what were they doing? Cooking, washing, cleaning, taking care of things.
Pretty much shaped
So
you
I
as
can
an
make can wash by hand. I know how to cook. As I tell you, I don't meet no woman who can clean like me yet. And I am proud to say these things. You understand? Yeah, man.
It's safe to say then that divorce has impacted people either negatively or it has impacted them positively. So you have taken a positive approach and decided that, look,
Or rather, I've been inspired
you've been
positively.
inspired, right, to say, I'm taking my marriage seriously, and you're letting your wife know, hey, if anything,
No, man, it's hard
it's
to
gonna
get a
be,
divorce, man.
yeah, we have to work it out. We have to work it out because you take your vows seriously.
And what I love about Jamaica is that, and a lot of people don't know this, it is very hard to get a divorce in Jamaica.
Yeah.
You cannot get a divorce here easily. It's not like foreign where you go through two little thing
It's
and
like, that's it.
you go to court out. No. In Jamaica, it's a year for get a divorce.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
6 months to a year.
Yes.
No, it's a year.
No. Some people have
Some
gotten-
6
You
months,
have
yes.
to you have to live, you have to be separated, completely separated, all of these things, no intimacy
Right.
for a year.
Yeah.
So if during this part of divorce, me draw down for my wife now and hold her down and make love to her, the process start over, you know.
Oh my God.
You know, the process start over, you know. Because if I go before the judge and the judge say, oh, this thing, I say, boy, judge, 3 weeks ago, I make love to my wife.
Oh my God.
So I don't know why we're here.
He's gonna say, are you sure that this
Things
is
to
really what
consider.
you want to do?
Exactly.
So the system is set up here for whatever reason
But
to make it hard to get divorced.
But you know what? We're not right now. That's a whole other conversation about divorce and what it takes. But as I said, I agree, and I really do admire, your point of view in terms of how you view life, how you view relationship and marriage. Because as I said, I agree. I'm there with you. I don't believe in
You're
gender
sure?
roles either. I am.
Not
I
the
tell
gender
you, I'm
roles
very-
part. I know you believe in that.
But in terms of marriage,
You sure? Because you seem like
no,
you
no.
want to
As
curate
I
this
said,
thing
no,
and
but I
create
do-
and construct this thing. You know.
guys, I do curate.
Just like how we curated this nice place that we're
Thanks.
at, right?
Right.
Jangas, yeah man.
Jangas.
Yes.
Have to big up this place because this is my favorite go-to drink
Big up
spot.
Jangas.
Meet.
Meet up, having the same conversation with friends on the weekend.
Big up to
And
the
I
Jangas
do
family.
like the outdoor setting. I mean,
Yes.
we're in Jamaica and it's a little hot, but
Yeah.
you know, it's very nice and relaxing.
Yeah.
I do like it.
Okay, so I wanted to go back to something you said actually about when you get married, is there a particular way that you should dress or, you know, whatever. And I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. I feel like if you are my partner and you propose to me and you're taking me to be your wife, the same way you look me in my nice, sexy clothes, yeah?
Yes.
You're gonna marry me with the same nice, sexy clothes,
Exactly.
yeah?
I'll have to agree.
Because my thing is that that's also where other things happen and go awry in a relationship.
True.
Because the woman now feels, oh, she forgot dress down and be frumpy. She's a mommy now, so she mustn't be sexy. I don't subscribe to that.
I agree. with
I
you.
have an 8-year-old, and a whole heap of people don't believe that. Okay,
That
so
part.
I feel that if you're in a relationship, you must still look your best for your husband. The same way you looked for him as your boyfriend, you're gonna always look your best.
Co-sign.
My
Okay.
only addition to that, and it's not a criticism.
Okay.
My only addition to that is, first of all, I agree with you 100%, because you are cementing what you said earlier, whereas when you get married, your wife still for be a woman,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I agree 100%,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes I have this argument with my wife, you know. I'm like, lady, you're still my woman, you know. And I saw me look on you, you know. Not because
You're
we're married
Yes.
and we have kids.
Right.
Me not see her as me like a boo, me like
Right.
a woman,
Right.
and
Yeah.
still want to grab you up and squeeze you up and hug you up and these
Yes.
things, right?
Exactly.
So I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
What I would add to that is, no, it's not a however,
Okay. So
adding
an addition.
is that when you are a mother,
Yes.
particularly when your children are a particular age, and this goes to me as a father too, you still have to be mindful of how you carry yourself in certain
100%.
environments
100%.
because of how the children and
Will
children's
see you
friends
and their perception.
will perceive you and what have you. So like, for example, all right, my big son got Peter and Paul now. And you have some hot mommy at Peter and Paul, you know. And it reminded me of my friends' mothers. They were the hot mummies in my time. And from time to time, we would buck them up out, teenage years. And like, this is how the conversation will go. So I have a good friend, Connery, and his mom, Auntie Opal, is one of the hot mummy crew them at Peter and Paul, right? Yeah, man, I call out name, man. I call out name. So there were times where
Name drop.
me buck Auntie Opal in Mirage,
Ooh,
right?
you know way
I
back
wa-
when you
I
said
wa-
Mirage, you know.
about to say.
Buck Auntie Opal in Mirage, and I say, Auntie Opal, what are you doing here? And she look at me and say, what you doing here? But you see, when I saw her, she was carrying herself well, elegantly. She look hot up same way, you know. And obviously she there to meet somebody or have a little chat or a little date or what have you. But I never saw anything that made me say, yo, how my friend mother go on so.
Right.
Or how Auntie Opal go on so. How she, no, she still did it classy, ting, and still super hot. So you would have been like in the Auntie Opal league.
Yeah, Auntie Opal.
You would have been in the Auntie Opal league. Where how you carry yourself.
It is a conversation that I've had before,
Yeah.
and I don't want to go off too much because
Yeah.
there's one point that I actually want to make because we
Okay.
haven't touched on it yet.
Okay, go ahead.
Because we're talking about marriage
Right.
here,
Right.
and of course we know there are different forms of marriage, there are different
Yes.
types of marriage.
Yes.
And we have seen where the poly has become a little bit more acceptable. You know, people are actually coming out more.
You know, see that
It's
African
not-
country
it's
ask
not-
people
it's
to
not-
come
it's not
to
as
have
taboo
polygamous
as
marriage.
it once was. And
Zambia.
of course, we've grown, as I said, you know, more accepting of the poly unions. So we're talking about polyamory now, where
What do you think about it? You good with it?
I do believe in the capacity to love more than one person. I do.
Watch I know.
I
Who are
think
gonna
I
watch
need
this?
Another drink right now.
About 3 husbands of a share.
Because I don't subscribe to that.
Listen,
No.
If
That's
you
a one man
believe-
alone, eh?
All right, let me just put this very clear. Let me make this very clear.
Yeah.
I believe that we are pure love, right? And if you're pure love, it means that, believe it, we talk about the laws of attraction.
Right.
And the fact is that you will be attracted to varying spirits from time to time, right?
Okay.
The fact is that if you exude love, it means that you attract love.
Right.
And that is pretty much all that you will, the energy
That
will
you-
align
right.
and you'll attract that. Now, people tend to confuse romantic love with the agape universal love that I oftentimes refer to.
Right.
Now,
Give
how
me
it
this definition of
manifests,
the agape thing.
it is pretty much universal.
Agape love is universal.
It is very universal.
So it's not
pure
in a
love.
box, it's not in a-
a box, exactly.
Once it's just love is love.
Love is love.
And it could be
exactly.
love for me and you as friends.
Thank you.
Love for me and you
It-
as lovers. Love for
Right.
me and you as a
So
wife.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
okay.
And you
Full
touched on a
circle,
very
yeah.
important point, because I do believe that you attract people for different reasons.
Oh, 100%,
Right?
yeah.
And it's still love, right?
Right.
So for my reasoning and my belief is that once you exude love, you're gonna attract love, right? And it's gonna come in many, forms,
Right.
different individuals.
Right.
And because of that, you have the capacity to explore romantic relationships in that whole love that you exude, right?
Right.
And the fact is that I don't believe that you are doing anything wrong, right? Mind you, it's not how we're socialized. It's
To
not
each
what
his
the
own.
Bible teaches, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, I still think that we do have the capacity. And if someone can love more than one person, why not explore a romantic love
Well, there are
with
people in
more
the
than
Bible who
Well,
have several wives.
well, yes,
So
but in
there
terms
are
of
okay.
in terms of the well, you have a very good point too, right? But it's what we were taught.
Right, what we were taught.
Monogamy,
Right.
right? So we were taught monogamy growing up, and of course, having been exposed to poly unions, I have now grown an appreciation for it. And as I said, with the transformation of my mind, I
Right.
now understand that I am pure love.
Okay.
And because of that, I welcome and I'm open to, loving for what it is.
I wish if I met you when I was in university. This would have been so perfect.
I wasn't this person when I was in university.
Because
so
as we get older, we grow. So
Yeah,
what,
exactly.
as Ava had said
I
before,
was
that her,
definitely that person in
her
university.
perspective would have clearly changed, or it would have, you would have
exactly.
become more
I would have
adaptable,
evolved.
or you would have evolved.
Yes.
So I have a
What? Yeah.
You
What is
wanna
your
have
take on
something
your
to
poly
add.
unions?
I have something
Because
to add. I have something
I
to
think
add.
it's very exciting, as a
So-
matter of fact.
Okay, before you get to that, so basically, you're saying that it's okay to have an open relationship then. So you
People
have
call it open.
yeah, because actually
Or
I
open
don't
mind. Look at Will and Jada. It's another story, but I'm just saying.
let's not even go on to that topic. But
Yes.
yeah, there are people who are married and then they bring another person into the equation,
Yes.
and it's known that hey, this is the person, and this is what we're doing. But for me, I think it gets messy. It can get messy and too complicated. I mean, I guess if
It can
that's
work,
I gue-
It can work. As long as it's not Prince Prince Charles and Camilla.
All right.
'Cause that was
no,
really
that was
messy.
well, that wasn't even an open relationship.
right.
That was just
But
a
it can
mess.
work.
However,
It's
We
an
don't want
entanglement.
it was an
that.
entanglement,
Entanglement.
like Will
But it can-
Jada and
Yes.
what was his name again?
August.
August.
It can work, man.
August.
All right, so
But anyway, for me, that's a no-no.
no problem.
And of course, we can appreciate you.
Yeah,
your
I'm-
opinion.
I'm-
Here's what I have to say.
I'm very. Let me tell you. As I said before, and I think I made this point
Yes.
that I'm serious about
Yes,
when
ma'am.
Your monogamous marriage.
Right,
And
right.
Relationship. Yes.
Right. So Yeah, I just
So hold on.
I feel like I have no words.
That's
like,
where it stops.
you know,
Hold
I
on.
just feel like this is just. I mean, to each his own. I'm not. I'm not judging. If that's your thing,
Exactly.
that's for you. But whoever I'm with, don't bring it to me.
Good. There's nothing wrong with what you're saying, right?
Because we're not going
They say
there.
variety is the spice of
So
life.
here's my thing,
I
right?
can get spice in my food. Yes, I can get spice with my clothes that I wear, but
Oh,
not
yes,
spice
that's
with an
nice.
additional
Additional,
person. I am very stingy with my, when I cook, I make sure I cook enough for everybody.
Okay.
Yeah? So I'm not sharing a plate with you. If I ask you, honey, do you want something to eat? Don't eat out of my plate because I'm not eating out of your plate. I'm not that girl. You take me on a
Okay.
date and you ask me what I want or whatever, I'm not gonna go, oh, but babe, I'm not one of those girls that, oh, I never want anything, but no, I want to taste your food.
you're
I'm
not
not that
that-
girl.
oh, you're not
I want
that
my own
girl.
food. I'm a
Okay.
foodie, love my belly. So
Okay.
therefore, not doing that.
You're
so if
very
I'm not
decisive.
sharing
You're
my
not
food,
indecisive. Okay, you're not
I'm
sharing
not
your man.
sharing my man.
You're not sharing your man.
So, all right, so
Okay.
hold on. Here's what I want to say, right?
Just saying.
When I was at UE,
Just not doing it, man. Like, not doing it. I mean, as I said, each his own. I ain't judging you. You do you, boo.
She
but
still
hold
has
on.
some stuff to get off her
Hold on,
chest.
hold on.
Allow
I'm
her
not
to
doing
get it off
that.
her chest. She's
Hold on.
not doing that.
I'm not doing that.
all right, no problem. So here,
I'm not doing all of that.
let me be the middle since I've been in the middle, right?
Okay,
Yes.
be in the middle.
So I accept what you say 100%, and there's
hope you
nothing
do.
wrong with what you say.
Spread the word.
I accept what you say 100%. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, I tell you a story. So when I came back from college in America and went to UWI, right? I remember going to a forum at Taylor Hall.
Oh, that's my hall.
And
True blue.
I'm a chancellor, right?
We're neighbors.
Good.
We're neighbors.
And the forum was about relationships.
Right.
And they were talking about monogamy and so on. And, you know, they asked, you know, what do you think is the issue going on here on campus in terms of why there's so many fallouts, you know, with men who have multiple partners and so on, what have you. And I got up, and what I said got an uproar. I got up and I said, in my opinion, based on what I have seen and based on how I operate,
Right.
the issue is the men aren't managing their relationships properly, right? There is a way.
Oh,
and,
yes.
and at that time, long before my
way.
wife, right? Long before my wife, at that time, I had multiple relationships simultaneously.
Okay.
And I was managing all of my relationships simultaneously well, right? And the problem is that when you go into that situation, the poly situation,
Yes.
a lot of times what causes the grief and the stress and the fallout is that the man doesn't manage the situation well,
Okay.
right? Because here I am having multiple relationships, not lying to anybody, not tricking anybody.
So,
But why it's working at that point is because I'm managing it well in terms of apportioning time, spending quality time, and doing things with the different partners. So although Blair don't believe in that, and nothing wrong, the poly thing can work once it's managed well.
yes, I totally agree with you,
Right.
but I just kind of want.
But hold on, one thing I want to add. You can
Yes.
clarify. So I'm now in a monogamous situation with a woman, although I have had a poly situation before. Now, we spoke about choices and how each person is to each their own, just like Blair was saying. So I end up with a woman who, for her, is a Blair vibe. One man to the thing, one person, nobody else involved. And I love her to the point that good
You are
for me.
willing to
No,
change.
and that good for
Okay,
me.
okay,
It's not
okay.
even about change. It's
Okay.
about this is
But
just
you've-
how our mix works. It's not
Okay.
even about changing them because
Okay.
remember, and you kind of alluded to it earlier. Each relationship, each person creates a different recipe.
Right.
They're different ingredients.
Right.
Everybody and you is not the same.
True.
So you
So
can
what works
love
for
people
you.
like you were saying,
Right.
and there are different
Right.
aspects to it. So
Right.
the aspect between me and my wife, how our things set up, are just me and her.
Okay.
And I'm happy with
One
that and
quick
good
question.
with that.
Okay,
One
yeah. Go
quick
ahead.
question. Are you suppressing your desire for that poly
I was
situation? Meaning
No, because my cup full and run over and
Okay.
spill and it dash up on the
Got you.
floor, spill over
Okay.
the table. I'm all right, I did enough.
that,
So
okay.
my thing was, I wasn't, me personally, I wasn't going to get married formally.
Right.
You would have just been okay with the situationship then, because it's
The
it's technically a
entanglement.
situation. So okay, all right. I have a question. I have
hold
another
on,
question.
so
Okay.
unless, and I always said to myself, because I was all, for the most part of my relationship life, I've been in a poly situation. I always said from very young, and recognized from very young, that I would not be able to get married unless my cup was filled and I had enough.
Okay.
So when I had enough,
Okay.
and by the way, some people never have enough, and some people
Some people are
reach
just never
enough,
satisfied.
and some people reach enough at a very late stage.
Right.
But I reached a stage where I had enough,
Okay.
and I was good,
To which is on. Yes.
and that is how I was able to get married. But if I didn't have enough, I wouldn't have got married.
Okay.
But I could have had
Fair enough.
a lovely woman, I could have still had a child, we could have still been a thing, whatever.
So you could have still been in a situation.
Yeah,
Yes.
and make it work.
Okay. So I have another question. What do you think is the difference between an open relationship and a situationship?
I want to say that
What's
a
a
situationship has a little more rules than an open relationship. That's what I would say.
Okay.
A situationship doesn't necessarily
There's no
have formal rules of
okay,
engagement.
right. Which is why it gets
An
messy.
open relationship has rules of engagement.
Okay.
And what the rules of engagement are, me like you, me check for you, or I love you, you love me, but we're open to seeing other people.
Okay.
And we will. And then now you have to break down how that works.
Right.
Look, Janet is my friend, you can chat to her.
Right.
Or if
That's
you go behind my back and don't tell me, that's cheating.
Right.
Yeah.
So
what
it is
about
about-
that? Because,
it's about the fine print.
Isn't that the order of the day now? And we're being frank. Isn't it a case where a lot of married men, I'm sure we've all seen it, right? They are married, yes. They're in a monogamous union,
they're not satisfied
yes,
as-
but they cheat, and it's like it's almost accepted, you
But
know,
this-
that men, you get married, you satisfy the needs of your wife,
Right.
but you also step outside of your relationship and you cheat, or you marriage or you cheat.
Right.
And as I said, it has become such a common assault. You know, if for want of a better term, it's become so common that
Yeah.
it's widely accepted
Right.
that, you know, you're
There-
This is not
here.
new, by the way. This is not
It's not
you know.
new. It goes
And that's
all
my
the way
point.
back. But
So
It's
what
not
do you
new.
call that? I mean, are they really monogamous, or is it that they subscribe to a monogamous
they're
relationship?
right
but
to their
they,
wife,
but they have
in
poly
their mind,
desires.
right?
I can
So-
answer that question by saying my wife now, she not depend that. Meaning she
Cheating?
she got married, and to her, she have certain expectations that this is how the thing go. Her specifically, she don't look through phone, she not check email, she not ask me where may I go. When me and Blair are go out and par, she not suspect or ask or question why you go out so much with Blair as your friend. None of them things. Her thing is,
Focus on
you see, if she find out me I do something, it just done. There's no chance. There's no, cause I don't pressure you. I'm not investigating you.
therefore
I give you all the leeway in the world.
So respect.
But if you go and do this, I'm find out, it done.
Right.
However, I know people where their wives,
No.
No.
And they're okay with it.
as long as there is a certain decorum to it.
yes.
So you
Meaning, don't come in on my face.
That
The
part.
woman not for call me, the woman not for text me. She not for publicly go on like say
You
X,
are-
Y, Z.
right, right.
Certain things not gonna happen. She not for meet me, picnic them,
Right,
whatever,
right,
whatever.
right.
Not that they like it, you know.
Yeah, but they're
They accept
okay.
it.
Not
They're
that they want
accepting.
it, you know.
That's their way of their open
No,
relationship.
it's not even
but
acceptance.
It's a way of
It's-
it's a way of an acceptance.
It's not. It's not
keeping
even
up
acceptance.
With, it's a
It's
status
like,
quo.
no, it's just accepting a reality.
But
That look, my man, I got do certain things. This is who I love. But him need to keep it on a level.
so guys, I just want to say though, back to what our original discussion. So our consensus is that marriage does not have to be the end goal, and it's really dependent on the person
Or persons.
or persons,
Yeah.
and you know, it still is important.
Yes.
We just have to
I
put
think
that.
so.
It's still
Yes.
very
Definitely.
important, but to some people, it's not as important. So I just want to say thank you guys. This was a really good discussion. I had fun. You guys made it fun.
I did too. I must say that it was a quite a heated discussion.
Quite heated. I think we put Ava on the spot a couple times.
Yeah,
you know?
you had me in the hot seat.
Yeah.
She's Sasha.
She's Sasha, and I'm Billy, I guess.
Why do I?
You know it.
I'm not owning it.
Yeah.
I'm not owning it. But yes, it was definitely.
So I'm gonna ask you guys to let people know where they can find you on Instagram. Nick, you wanna go first? What's your IG?
Sir underscore Nickmac, which is SIR underscore NICK underscore MACK.
Ooh, that's a lot. All right, you guys can find me at I am Trinity CEO on Instagram.
But that longer than my own.
It
But
is
it's
literally
easier.
one word.
It's
I
easier.
am
You are
Trinity CEO.
underscore.
Yes.
Underscore,
But if you just type
underscore.
in Nickmac or Nicholas McDavid, it will come up right away.
Oh well.
And you guys know where to find me at.
Jangas.
Yes, at Janga's Sound Bar and Grill. And Blair Milan Whittingham, and it is what it is, JA.